Imagine waking up and realizing your childhood street, the one where you rode bikes, where your parents still live, where you knew every neighbor by name, has become a row of mini hotels. The sound of children laughing has been replaced by rolling suitcases. Your neighbor's porch light, once a familiar sight every evening, now flickers above a revolving door of strangers. That's not fiction. That's Hawaii in 2025. While tourists flood the islands in record numbers, the locals who built these communities are being priced out of their own home. In this investigation, we reveal how entire neighborhoods have turned into profit machines for outsiders, and how the people of Hawaii are fighting back before their culture and their sense of home disappear completely.
Hawaii has always been seen as a dream. White sand beaches, volcanic sunsets, and the promise of paradise. But for many who live here, that dream has turned into a slow-motion nightmare. The housing market, once a mix of family-owned homes and small local developments, has become one of the most competitive and unequal in the United States. As foreign investment, short-term rentals, and unchecked tourism reshape the islands, local families find themselves in a desperate battle for survival. Many who once owned homes are now renting, and those who rented are now homeless. In some neighborhoods, nearly 1 out of every 3 houses is no longer occupied by a permanent resident. The irony is cruel. Visitors come here searching for authenticity, the real Hawaii, while the very people who define it are being pushed out. Teachers, firefighters, and nurses, the backbone of island life, can't compete with mainland salaries and billionaire cash offers. And for young people born and raised in Hawaii, owning a home has become a fantasy. The idea of aloha, kindness, community, and care is being tested like never before. The story isn't about numbers, it's about what happens when a place built on togetherness is divided by greed. To understand how Hawaii reached this breaking point, we have to go back in time, to an era before apps, before foreign cash, before the islands became a playground for the global rich. For decades, Hawaii's housing system reflected a unique balance between culture and land. Families didn't see their homes as investments, but as inheritance, sacred ties between generations. But over time, as Hawaii's tourism industry exploded, so did the hunger for real estate. In the 1980s, Japanese investors began buying hotel chains and beachfront property, triggering the first wave of what locals called the land rush. By the 2000s, luxury condos were rising where sugarcane once grew. And then came Airbnb, the silent hurricane that changed everything. With a single click, any home could become a business. A one-bedroom ohana that once rented for $2,000 a month could suddenly earn $7,000 in short-term stays. The temptation was impossible to ignore, and the cost, devastating. In less than a decade, more than 20,000 housing units across Hawaii shifted from residential use to short-term rentals. Entire communities became hollow shells of their former selves. What was once the rhythm of daily life, kids walking to school, aunties selling food from porches, neighbors greeting each other, turned into a revolving cycle of strangers coming and going. And as the visitors multiplied, so did resentment. Because behind every vacation rental available sign was a family that no longer could afford to stay.
The hard truth is this: Hawaii's housing market is collapsing under the weight of its own paradise. While tourism remains the state's economic engine, bringing in over $17 billion a year, it has also inflated the cost of living to unsustainable levels. In Oahu, the median home price is now over $1.1 million, making it one of the least affordable housing markets in America. Compare that to the average household income of $89,000, and the math becomes impossible. Even dual-income families, teachers, nurses, civil servants are locked out. But what makes Hawaii's crisis so unique is that it's not just financial, it's cultural. When a neighborhood loses its people, it loses its heartbeat. Local shops close because the customers who supported them are gone. Schools merge or shut down because there are fewer children left to attend. And entire generations are forced to move to the mainland, leaving behind a ghost version of the communities their grandparents built. Tourism, in theory, should support Hawaii, but in reality, it's devouring it. Each short-term rental that opens is one less home available for a local family. Each luxury tower that rises blocks the sunlight on old plantation homes, and each wealthy investor that arrives brings prices that locals can never match. The cruel irony? Many of these properties are marketed with phrases like, "live like a local," but there are fewer and fewer locals left to live like.
Yet, even in the face of this crisis, the spirit of aloha endures, not as a tourist slogan, but as a call to action. Communities across the islands are rising up to take their streets back. In Maui, a grassroots coalition called Save Our Streets Hawaii has become a symbol of resistance. Armed with little more than cell phones and determination, volunteers drive through neighborhoods every weekend, documenting illegal short-term rentals and reporting them to city authorities. In less than a year, they've helped shut down over 200 unlicensed Airbnbs, a drop in the ocean, but a start. Oahu recently passed one of the strictest short-term rental laws in the country, banning rentals of less than 90 days in residential zones. But enforcement is difficult, and the tech platforms that profit from these listings have little incentive to help. The people fighting this war are ordinary citizens, grandparents, teachers, construction workers, defending their right to exist in their own home. Their stories are raw and powerful. One woman in Lahaina said, "I used to rent to locals, but when my landlord saw what Airbnbs were earning, he raised my rent from $2,000 to $4,500 overnight. I had no choice. I left." A retired couple in Hilo described watching their entire street turn into weekend rentals. "We don't even know our neighbors anymore." These aren't isolated experiences. They are the new normal. And as more locals are pushed out, the fight isn't just about homes. It's about survival.
If nothing changes, the next decade could see Hawaii transformed beyond recognition. Experts predict that by 2030, over 15,000 additional local families may be displaced due to unaffordable housing. And once a community disappears, it rarely comes back. But there is still hope. Local organizations are building cooperative housing models, community-owned developments where profits stay in the neighborhood. Some younger investors are turning their short-term rentals into long-term housing. And new political leaders are calling for a fundamental shift to value people over profit. Still, the path forward is uncertain. Hawaii stands at a crossroads between preserving its soul or selling it piece by piece. The question is whether it will choose to remain a community or just a destination.
So when you see another "for rent" sign by the beach, ask yourself, who really owns Hawaii now? And how long before there's no one left to call it home? Paradise isn't supposed to have a price tag. But here, it does. If you believe Hawaii deserves better, if you believe families, not corporations, should define its future, then help us keep telling these stories. Subscribe to Detailed Report, share this video, and stand with the people who refuse to give up on their home. Because paradise only survives when its people do.